everyone. Thanks for joining. It's Jono from Seneca, and today we are going to be tearing down in corrosion. But don't worry, we're then going to be building up and getting together and talking about alloys. Okay, so let's dive in. This is going to be really good prep for your GCSE chemistry exam, and we're going to start with corrosion. So, corrosion, what is it? Basically, it describes the gradual destruction of metals because of chemical reactions between the metal and the oxygen and water in the environment. The rusting of iron or objects containing iron is an example of corrosion. So, a good example is something like rusting. So, iron plus oxygen plus water goes to hydrated ion brackets 3 oxide. And we write that 3 in Roman numerals, so like I, and that tells us the oxidation state of the iron. So iron 3 oxide, the iron has a 3 plus oxidation state. Now, let's get into a bit more detail about that rusting environment. So if we took like a cute little iron nail and we put it in a boiling tube under different conditions, we can then see what conditions are required for rusting. So if we put an iron nail into a boiling tube with just air in it, there'd be no rusting, okay? And then if we put it into a boiling tube that just had water in it, with no air, and we can do that by putting a layer of oil on top of the water, there'd be no rusting. But if we have that sickening combination of air and water, honey, we are getting some rust. So air and water together makes rust. Okay, so remember that. We need 2 conditions to make a metal corrode: oxygen and water. And let's go over that definition of corrosion again. It describes the gradual destruction of metals due to chemical reactions with the oxygen and water in the environment. Okay, so corrosion, gradual destruction. So how can we prevent corrosion? There are 3, you heard me, 3 main methods used to stop metals corroding. Make sure you learn these for your exam. Let's start with coatings. We can prevent corrosion by applying a coat that acts as a barrier, such as greasing, painting, or electropainting. Ooh, electroplating, that sounds fun. So, aluminium has an oxide coating that protects the metal from further corrosion and stops oxygen and water reaching the metal surface. A disadvantage is that if the coating is damaged, the metal becomes exposed and corrosion will occur. So, we better learn some other mechanisms because it sounds like coating isn't always the best. So, the sacrificial method involves attaching a more reactive metal to the metal that needs protecting. So water and oxygen will preferentially react with the sacrificial metal, leaving the other unharmed. Okay, sacrificial method is my new favorite chemical term. I love it. Then we also can talk about galvanizing. So a hybrid of coating, and this is a hybrid of coating and the sacrificial method. The metal that needs protecting is sprayed with a more reactive metal. This acts as the coating first. If the more reactive metal is damaged, it will continue to protect as a sacrificial metal. Oh my God, I wish I had a sacrificial metal in my life. So, what is a hybrid of coatings and the sacrificial method? That is galvanizing, okay? So, preventing corrosion. Do you remember those 3 ways we can prevent them? They've all got pretty great names, which should make them easy to remember. So let's go through them again. We start off with coatings, which is when we have a barrier that stops oxygen and water reaching the metal surface. My personal favorite, the sacrificial method. Water and oxygen preferentially react with the sacrificial metal, leaving the other unharmed. And then galvanizing, which is a combination of coatings and the sacrificial method. And the word galvanize means come together. So that should hopefully help you remember that coatings and sacrificial method together makes galvanizing. Okay? Now we need to get into alloys and talk about the different alloys that you need to know for your chemical exam. Basically, an alloy is a metal that is mixed with other elements. By adding these to other elements, we can change the metal's properties. And most metals that we use in everyday life are alloys. So let's start off with gold. Pure gold is soft, and so jewelry will often add metals such as silver, copper, and zinc to produce a more resilient substance. Carats provides a measure for the purity of a gold alloy. So that's fun. Now we know what carats mean. So 24 carats, honey, that is 100% gold. And 18 carats, that's going to be 75% gold. So we all want that 24 carat gold in our life. Now we need to talk about brass. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Adding zinc makes the material more malleable, so that means you can shape it more and like put it into cool like little shapes. And uses include door fittings and water taps, and like a brass finish. Oh, stunning. Okay, aluminium. A key feature of aluminium alloys is that they're low density alloys, which makes them suitable for use in manufacturing aircraft. Hey, other uses include armor plating for military vehicles because we need to keep it nice and light. Now we need to talk about bronze, and that's an alloy of copper and tin. Adding tin increases the hardness of the metal. Ooh. Uses include making cans, electrical hardware, and statues. So fun. Okay, and finally we have steel. Now, steel are alloys of iron that contain carbon as well as other metals. High carbon steels are strong but brittle. Uses include cutting tools and blades. Low carbon steels are soft but malleable, and they're used to make car bodies. And stainless steel, which contains chromium and nickel, are strong and resistant to corrosion. So they're often used in cooking utensils and cutlery. Okay, so let's go all the way back to the beginning. What conditions do we need for the rusting of iron? Two things, oxygen and water. And what do we form? We form hydrated iron 3 oxide. Right, what's the definition of an alloy? An alloy is a metal that is mixed with other elements. Now, do we remember what brass is? That's an alloy of copper and zinc. And adding zinc makes the material more malleable. Okay, so there are lots of things to remember from this episode. So make sure you listen to it a few times and feel really confident with the material. Learn your alloys and how they're used. Good luck with your revision, and I look forward to you joining me on the next episode. Good luck with all your revision.